Hi guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden and for part 2 of an entire garden tour in November. You might be like, how can a November garden still look beautiful? But I think that there are quite some really nice examples, and I just want to start here at the main entrance, which is actually facing the back of the house, like to the midsection of the garden. How color can look really nice at this time of the year. I just shared a little potting video with you, and things are looking so wonderful. It really makes me happy every single time that I come back to my house. And one thing that I really learned about myself and about gardening this year is I really enjoy orange as a color in the garden. Who would have thought that I'm ever going to say something like this? But colors like these here, when orange goes into a pinkish tone or kind of like rusted, coppery, burnt oranges, I think then it is a really wonderful color, and especially in combination with dark purple, like with these violas here, with the grass, with the heather, and then like again a little orange pumpkin. So I really enjoy this area, but since I just shared a video here, what I want to do is take you with me into the midsection of the garden. And what I want to focus on a little bit today is, I've shown you already like the new herbaceous border and the new perennial border and all of that. But I remember last year, some of you guys said like, oh my God, how do you underplant walnut trees? Because you have this island bed with 2 fully grown walnut trees, and walnut trees are kind of like difficult with underplanting, and how do you do it and what do you use? So today I want to focus a little bit on the island bed and show you some plants like that definitely work pretty well in that area. And to do that, let's just have a nice look. I hope there's not too much sun flare now, but it's just wonderful with the afternoon sun now. This is one of those moments when I normally take a photo and share them on Instagram, because the light situation at this time of the year is really special here. It's a very nice and warm, golden autumnal, well, golden November light in this instant now. But it just fills the back garden, and it's so lovely to work here at this time of the year. The midsection of the garden, one of the projects that we actually had, and it kind of like went nowhere, is we thought about removing the entire lawn here, getting netting in for the mole, and start all over again. And you can tell nothing happened. So this is one of those projects that kind of was scratched out for this year and potentially might happen next year. I still hope it will, because we also said like that we want to redefine the shape of the flower beds a little bit and really have a nice new fresh kickstart here, because the lawn here, number one, is it's very wobbly, like mowing is a nightmare, and on top of it you see it's quite patchy because of the mold piles, and there is 50% weeds in here, a lot of daisies and a lot of other things. So lawn, you might want to look for the lawn. When I'm sometimes mowing here, it's anything but grass. But what I want to do is really focus on this entire area here underneath the walnut trees. So the walnut trees are surrounded by an island bed, and in the middle there is even a cherry tree, a small one, where I harvested a little bit, and then the starlings came and they were feasting on all of those cherries. So off they went, but still I made a little bit of cherry preserve out of those cherries. There's a little dinner table here, and this year I kept it very simple, just with one planter, with some really cute mums in here. But what I want to show you are things that grow fairly well under walnut trees. Number one, sedum. Sedum is one of those plants that is very sturdy. As long as you put it in kind of like poor soil and full sun, it is almost a guarantee that it thrives, and here it did. Here I extended my sedum drift this year, so these plants, they were still a little small and not too nice, but here on this side there is a drift that grows here already for probably 7 years by now, I would say. They're very happy, they're very robust, they always come back, they produce a lot of flowers, so they are definitely wonderful. Another plant that is extremely sturdy and definitely thrives well are rose rugosa. So whenever you hear the word rose rugosa, you might know they're not very fuzzy, and in general they thrive extremely well. This is also what I did here. They grow exactly next at the trunk of the tree, and they are just looking fantastic. A lot of bloom, really nice and lush. They come quite early in the year, so definitely one of those plants that works extremely well. Grasses are also one of those plants that grew very nice here in general, and I never really replaced the grass. Miscanthus was a little difficult, but panicum, for example, definitely very easy. Calamagrostis grasses, 2 different varieties, also extremely easy. Nepeta, this is walker slow again, never had a problem here, planted them. This patch is even one of the best patches that I have from walker slow, so whenever I need more plants, most likely I will come in here and start dividing from these here. Again, asters. Asters are always very happy here, like Aster astron. I told you already in part one when I showed you the front garden that this is one of the sturdiest asters you could possibly have in the garden. And what is wonderful about it on top of it is you can see there's still blooms here and it starts flowering in August and now we're in November. So it has a very long period when they produce flowers. So this is one of those things that you might want to factor in when you plant this aster because you will have blooms in a nice color for a very long time of the year. Another plant that grows really nice underneath walnut trees are bistorta or persicaria. There are different words for it. And I grow 3 different varieties here. This is a variety called JS Kalo. This is my favorite one, just because if you look closer, the foliage is still nice, lush and green, and it still has a lot of blooms. I just planted these this year, so they're a little bit more on the smaller side, but a beautiful color, cherry red, really wonderful. It works extremely well in combination with asters and with purple, with a nepeta. And bistorta is one of those plants that again flowers endlessly. So I think they started flowering in about July time and they will flower up until the first harsh frost comes, so potentially 6 months in total, which is really wonderful and one of those plants where I think like it's definitely underestimated in a lot of the gardens. So I told you I grow 3 varieties here. Number 1 is JS Kalo, then I have Taurus and Fire Trail. So all 3 of them grow extremely nice and very robust in here. Then again, another grass, and this is one of my favorite. It starts to peter out now this time of the year, but I think the color is so wonderful because when you see with the sun coming from the back, and especially in summer, it starts to glow like ruby red, and this is always wonderful. This is Japanese bloodgrass. It kind of just like spreads outwards a little bit, and here in this location, it's very happy, and it's just nice to have like the cherry red blooms from the bistorta, and then this like ruby red from the grass, so they make a really lovely planting neighbor. And even now when it starts to peter out and the grass starts to turn brown, it's still nice. It's like a nice, very beautiful, humble grass. It doesn't flower, but I think it doesn't need to because it just has this wonderful, rich color. Another plant that grows really well here, and I have so much offspring, I'm really like digging all of them out, is Penstemon. I've got 2 varieties that I mixed. I've got Dark Towers and Huskers Red, because I think they work really nice together, because one is a little more whitish, the other one is a little more pink, but they're very close. And you can tell, again, they have now kind of like red foliage, the stems turned into really wonderful ruby red color as well, and then all these seed pods on top of here. Very easy to propagate them from seeds as well. This is what I did in the past. So Penstemon definitely wonderful and works extremely well in the island bed underneath the walnut trees. More Aster astron, more sedum. This is one thing that I always do whenever I plant something. I have my key plants and I kind of like repeat them in the garden, so your eyes are always having a focal point. Another plant that grows really well here, but it's also a good example of one thing that I need to do, which is a seasonal job. Here are some bearded iris. This is a variety called English Cottage, and in another area I can show you in a second that they rebloom. Here unfortunately they don't, but there's a lot of foliage on top of them at the moment from the walnut trees. And one of the seasonal jobs that I definitely need to do is come in here and start removing all of this dead foliage, because the rhizome from the iris wants to be exposed to the full sun and really bake in the sun, because only then they are happy and they will produce more blooms and more flowers. So one of the things I need to do, but in general, bearded iris also grow extremely well underneath the walnut tree. Here, some more panacetum. So I got it on both sides, same variety. It grows a little bit better here because it gets more sun. So panacetum in general is a grass that really appreciates if it gets more sun, but still it is wonderful here. And I think you get to see again how nice panacetum grass in general frame a border just because of the growing habit, how soft and how gentle they are. And especially when the wind comes and you really see how the wind kind of like waves in these grasses, it's just a wonderful sight. So if we just walk around this side here, most of the plants now are repeating themselves because this is just how I plant. So again, I've got Nepeta, Aster astron. This is Bistorta taurus. You can tell it grows taller than JS Kalo, and it stopped flowering already, which is quite typical. Taurus starts a little earlier than JS Kalo, but it also stops flowering, but still it has a nice growing habit and it just looks really wonderful here, so I don't want to lose it. I had some coleus here. Epic failure this year, didn't work at all. Slugs and snails came, couple left, and then I just had some really nice snapdragons that I put in here that I sowed in July. And they're still producing blooms now. So snapdragon, one of my favorite annuals, because they are very sturdy. They flower endlessly. They flower even if you have cold temperatures. Right, Alfie? What do you think? Do you like the snapdragons as well? And you got a leaf on your tail. Let's get rid of the leaf, maybe. Yeah. You got a toy now. Now the leaf is a toy, right? Also good. More bistorta here, asters. Then here I've got turtle hat, which I have on the other side in the shade area of the garden. This gets a little less sun, and turtle hat stops flowering already. They don't look like a lot yet. They grow fairly slow. So it is a plant that grows extremely well if you have partly shade or more shade in your garden. And if you don't want to have something that's so overpowering and you always need to come in and cut it back or like get rid of all the runners, now this is definitely a nice one. This is called Hot Lips. It got quite dark foliage, really wonderful pink blooms, and again it flowered almost endlessly. Maybe on the other side? No, there are no flowers left, maybe one or two I can show you in a second. So I think in general a quite nice drift here. Again, Japanese bloodgrass. And here you can see quite well the difference of Japanese bloodgrass in partly shade compared to full sun. In full sun, a lot better. It thrives in partly shade. But I've got some areas where it just started to peter out completely. So next year I just need to come in with some new plants, fill it in again. But it is just really nice as a border plant as well. It is upright. It doesn't kind of like spill over the borders, but sometimes it's also nice to have a sharp grass border, I think. Another aster, which I think is really nice, like last year I planted it and I struggled a little bit with it because all of the other aster varieties that I grow, they're quite compact. They really are like this pillow of color in a way. And I thought I want to try something that is a little more airy and delicate and has a different approach. And this variety is called Dauerblau. It is quite an old variety. It doesn't produce so many blooms. And it is a little more airy. And last year I was a little like unsure if I really like it or not. But I think this year I'm like, yeah, I think it is nice because it is a nice balance of like to have these like compact asters like Astron, to have the grassy, and then to have something more delicate, something a little whimsical. It's really nice when the sun comes later on in the afternoon and floods this side of the garden, because then these really delicate asters are really a wonderful sight in general. So these are most of the plants that thrive extremely well under walnut trees. One hint of advice: if you have a perennial and the label says that it needs a lot of water, forget about it. This is definitely not what's going to thrive well under walnut trees. Everything that is robust, sturdy, and doesn't need a lot of water, or doesn't have like doesn't need like too good, too rich soil, that is definitely going to grow underneath walnut trees. For the rest of the back garden, I'll make it a little fast because I already toured you around and showed you a little bit. One of those areas that I really loved, especially now in the past month or two, is the entire new perennial border and herbaceous border. So things are looking just fantastic here, if you see, and there's still color in here. Even in November, there is still a lot of color in here. So again, Aster Astron, one of my key plants, but I think this is too much. So next year I'm going to come in and reduce the size of this clump a little bit. And also want to tweak and put some other plants in here because I really loved the red foliage of the amaranth that I'm going to show you in a moment. And I thought next year I want to put some red amaranth maybe more in the center. So something that I will definitely tweak. One of the plants, very poisonous, but looks fantastic here in the mid of a border. Because it is so poisonous, I put it in the mid of the border so nobody has easy access to it. It's called, now I know how to pronounce it right, aconitum or monk's hair, because last time I pronounced it completely off. But beautiful color. It's kind of like a steely purple, really wonderful, upright, a very nice growing habit. And the back there is phlox, so that is not flowering anymore. A big drift of Calamagrostis grasses. It's just a nice bronzy beige tone. More asters there. So in general, I'm very happy with how this border looks. And especially if we continue to the last bit there, this is the new herbaceous border, which I started literally a year ago when I just took out the first bit of a turf, but then most of the work happened this year. So earlier on in April, I think, we removed the turf, prepared this soil, and then the planting started. And things are looking really nice in here, I think. And it is an herbaceous border because I've got perennials, grasses, and hardwoods in here. Obviously, the pear tree is in there, but I also have some elders in there, some roses, some really mixing things a little bit. And what I did is I really wanted that these areas are tied together. So I've got just the same kind of plants in here, plus some others that I tried. So again, Panacetum grass, Bistorta, asters, but then I've got some exciting things here. For example, I tried salvia in here again. This is a variety called Caradonna, and there's still some blooms in here. A little bit of color is left. It was really beautiful. And considering that I planted teeny tiny plants earlier on this year, I think this is really nice that they already built this lovely clump here. And I think for next year, I can just expect better things out of it even. Then amaranth, it starts to peter out now, but it was wonderful. It grew to a crazy size. This was supposed to grow a meter in height, and this is like, if I really get it up, probably 1.80 meters in total. So a lot taller to what it was supposed to be. So next year I'm going to go with a different variety, but again, red color, red foliage, red blooms, because I think it's just a wonderful impact. Ricinus over there. It's not going to be hardy, but again, I really love it. I love the flowers, like these spiky things that kind of look a little bit like lychee in a way. And then big foliage. But one thing that I'm definitely going to do exactly next year again is a grass there. This is Perennial Vertigo from Proven Winners. They grew a lot taller to what the label said. They said for Europe they will grow 70 centimeters in height, and they're definitely 1.20 meters, 1.30 meters, I would say. Great impact, and you can see when you are on the terrace, you have a straight view through the garden, and to have this as a focal point is wonderful. So I thought definitely here it's going to go again, and maybe another clump is going to go into that side as well, where I want to reduce the amount of the Aster astrum. So I think that the amaranth might move in there, and probably 2 clumps of the Perennial grass will go in there as well, because they're so beautiful. So if we continue walking, here are some sedums. Asters are looking fantastic. I planted earlier on in the year some elders with you, and this is a black lace elder, which I was really fond of. I wanted to have it. They're still looking a little funny, so I think I need to cut it back definitely to build a nice framework, but still the foliage is beautiful, just to have this really dark plum color foliage here in combination with these violet blooms, beautiful. So I think moving forward, when there is a nice drift of them and they really grow to a nice compact size, they will be wonderful here. One of the latest additions that I planted here with you is a burning bush. Obviously the wonderful red leaves are gone now because we had quite some strong severe winds, so all of it blew off, but still I think it was well worth it. And next year I can't wait what it does and when it grows in, and it's going to look hopefully fantastic. So one last thing I just want to show you is just really in the back of you, which is the area of the garden that hasn't been developed too much in general, but still I did a little bit there. The reason for why I'm a little hesitant on trying to do too much there is that we have a lot of bindweeds in there. And this year I started to fight it a little bit, and next year I'm going to continue. So I hope that by this time next year we can finally start taking the turf out here and start creating the last big border of the garden. But what you see here is, one of the things I did is I put a fence section in just behind the yews, which will eventually be a yew hedge in, I don't know, 10 years probably. But there was a straight view into the neighbors, like a workshop, car workshop, and they're like, he's a farmer as well. So they were always like stuff lying around standing there. And I was kind of like, you know what, let's just put a fence there and make it look a little nicer in general. And I'm so happy that I did it, because I also think now finally the yews are looking really nice. And the plants, not a lot is happening, to be honest. There is another rose here which is going to come to bloom. The barberries that I planted together with you, they start dropping their leaves now, but still they have an amazing colour, and I can't wait for them to grow into a lovely drift here next year. And what I want to do is remove these sedums here and put them down to the slope into a new area, and really extend the drift of the barberries all the way here to the Nepeta, because I think that this will be just a wonderful impact, especially when you have a long stretch garden such as we have here. Try to think of like focal points for the back of your garden if you don't have garden rooms, because everything is open here, because these focal points is what you're going to see from the distance and where your eye rests, and this is always really beautiful. One last thing is, like, this is a lot of lawn here, so this is the area that I want to transform next year. Then the grass still looks really nice. This is another miscanthus. Tall variety, not as tall as last year, and unfortunately some of them started to collapse a little bit this year because the wind was traveling heavily, but things are looking fairly nice. And one last thing I want to show you, remember like 2 weeks ago I planted daylilies with you down by this slope, and there are daylilies here. And when I told you that daylilies at this time of the year, they don't provide a lot of structure, this is how they look. You know, they have some strappy green leaves, but in general everything is kind of like brown, and you can start clearing it, and then you have these stems here where the flowers were in midsummer. So whenever you have daylilies, like this area of the garden is not really developed, but down there by the slope, this one I told you, when you have daylilies, personally I think try to find good planting neighbors that cover up all of this. For example, Patacetum grass is great, asters are great, so really always try and think about your plant neighbors. And having that said, that is it for part 2 of today's video. Here I want to stop it, and then I would really love to welcome you for part 3, where I'm going to take you all the way along the slope, because throughout the entire year, if you follow my channel, you saw that a lot of my videos happened there. I planted a lot there. A lot of the plants there started to peter out a little bit now because they're annuals and we are November and they've just had it. But still, I really want to show you what happened and talk you through my plans for that side of the garden. So thank you so much for watching today's video. And I would really love to welcome you for the final part 3 on my garden tour in November. Take care, guys.